The sky above Xylaria glowed in colors no human eye had ever seen. Massive floating orbs of light drifted lazily through the atmosphere, casting gentle, shimmering patterns over forests of silver-leaved trees. Rivers ran like liquid crystal, reflecting the bioluminescent glow of plants and creatures that thrived in every corner of the world. It was a planet that seemed alive, pulsing with energy, and yet that life was under threat. At the heart of Xylaria lay Lysara, the queen of the Xylarians. She was tall and graceful, her eyes deep pools of violet that seemed to see everything at once. Her people, humanoid in shape but distinctly alien, moved with elegance and purpose, their skin shifting in soft patterns that reflected their emotions. They were intelligent, peaceful, and skilled in ways humans could only imagine. But peace had been shattered. A shadow darkened the horizon, a fleet of enormous warships, black as obsidian, moving with ruthless precision. Vorath, a warlord from a distant galaxy, had arrived. His ships fired deadly beams that sliced through Xylaria's defenses. Forests caught fire. Rivers boiled under intense heat, and creatures of every kind fled in terror. Lysara watched from her palace, her heart pounding with fear. Her army, trained and disciplined, fought bravely. But bravery alone was not enough. The Xylarians were outnumbered, and their weapons, though advanced, could not match the raw power of Vorath's fleet. Each battle left them weaker. Each day brought more casualties. Lysara's advisors gathered in the war room, a transparent dome that overlooked the burning horizon. They spoke in urgent tones, but their words offered no solution. "We cannot hold them," one officer admitted, his voice trembling. "Their fleet is too vast. We will lose everything if we do not find help." Lysara's mind raced. She had studied the galaxies, known of distant civilizations that might answer a call for aid, but reaching them was risky. Most would not care for the plight of one alien world. Most would ignore a plea that came from so far away, yet she had no choice. "Prepare the signal," she ordered, her voice steady despite the fear gnawing at her heart. "Send it across the stars. We must try. If we do nothing, our people will perish." Her aides moved quickly, activating the ancient Xylarian technology that could send a message beyond their galaxy. A beam of pulsating light shot into the void, carrying Lysara's words, her fear, and her hope. "Help us. We are under attack. Our world is dying. We beg for aid." As the signal traveled, Lysara watched the battlefield unfold below. Her army fought with unmatched courage, forming lines of shimmering warriors that moved like living water, striking with precision, defending cities and forests alike. But every victory was temporary. For each enemy destroyed, 10 more appeared. The queen could feel the weight of her people's lives pressing down on her. Mothers hid their children in caves, elders stood firm beside soldiers, and the young warriors charged forward with a mix of fear and determination. Lysara's heart ached for them. She had sworn to protect her world, to ensure the survival of her species, and yet here she was, powerless in the face of an overwhelming force. Night fell over Xylaria, though the sky was never truly dark. The floating lights and glowing forests bathed the planet in a surreal glow. Lysara stood alone on a balcony, her cloak billowing in the wind. She whispered a silent prayer, not to a deity, but to the universe itself. "If anyone can hear us, please come. Save my people. Save my world." Hours passed, and still there was no response. Fear began to creep into her heart. Perhaps the universe was indifferent. Perhaps Xylaria was destined to fall. A bright world extinguished in the darkness of space. The thought made her chest tighten, but she could not allow despair to paralyze her. She had to remain strong for her people, for her army. Morning came, and with it the sounds of battle renewed. Vorath's forces pressed harder, sending massive assault squads that tore through the forests and cities. Buildings of crystalline light collapsed under the relentless attacks. Lysara coordinated her army tirelessly, directing soldiers, repositioning defenses, and boosting morale wherever she could. She had noticed something strange in the first hours of the attack. Her people, though scared, fought with more determination than ever. They were not willing to surrender. Xylarians were proud and clever, and even in the face of hopeless odds, they found ways to outsmart the enemy. Some used the terrain to set traps. Others created illusions with their energy-manipulating abilities to confuse Vorath's troops. But Lysara knew that cleverness alone could not win this war. The enemy was too strong, their fleet too numerous. They needed outside help. By mid-morning, Lysera received updates from scouts who had ventured beyond the battlefield. The signal she had sent might have reached someone, they said. Perhaps somewhere far across the stars, another civilization had noticed. But no reply came. Fear and doubt returned, heavy as a stone in her chest. She walked through the battlefield herself, unseen by most, observing her army in action. Young soldiers were fighting with a ferocity that reminded her of the legends of Xylaria's ancestors. They wielded energy blades, their movements graceful and deadly. They used natural elements, calling storms of wind and fire to drive back Vorath's troops. Still, it was not enough. Every moment was precious, every victory fleeting. By midday, Lysera returned to her war room, exhausted but determined. She needed a plan, a way to buy time until help arrived, if help arrived. She studied maps of the galaxy, energy signatures of potential allies, and records of ancient treaties her people had never thought would be needed. Then, a thought struck her. The Xylarians were known for their diplomacy, their ability to inspire loyalty and cooperation. Perhaps the call for help needed not just words of fear, but words of courage. Not just pleas, but a promise of alliance. She instructed her aides to amplify the signal, adding messages of trust, of partnership, of shared destiny. We fight not just for ourselves, but for those who value life, for those who believe in courage. If you hear this, come to us. Together we can defend what is just and true. As the new signal shot into space, Lysera felt a flicker of hope. It was faint, almost imperceptible, but it was there. She could not see it, could not know if anyone would respond. Yet hope, even a small spark, was better than despair. Night fell again, and with it came a moment of silence. The battlefield paused briefly, as if the universe itself held its breath. Lysera stood atop a hill, watching the horizon, listening to the distant hum of energy weapons and the cries of her people. She felt the weight of responsibility more acutely than ever. In her heart, she whispered once more, a prayer not just for survival, but for courage. We are Xylarians. We fight, we endure. If anyone hears us, please come. Save us, and together, we will face what comes. Far beyond the reaches of Xylaria, light years away, the message traveled through space, crossing galaxies, passing planets and stars, moving ever onward. Somewhere, perhaps, someone would hear it. And somewhere, perhaps, someone would answer. But for now, Lysera could only watch, fight, and hope. Her people depended on her. Her army depended on her. And though fear was heavy in her chest, courage, quiet, determined, unyielding, burned brighter still. The fate of Xylaria hung in the balance, and the universe waited to see if a desperate plea could awaken a spark of hope strong enough to save an entire world. Light years away from the glowing forests of Xylaria, deep within the heart of the Milky Way, the Terran Vanguard's flagship Stalwart drifted silently among the stars. Its hull shimmered with polished steel and energy shields, a symbol of humanity's progress in the galaxy. The crew, trained for every kind of mission, moved with quiet precision, monitoring star charts and scanning signals from distant systems. It was Commander Aiden Reyes who first noticed the unusual pulse. He stood at the command deck, his eyes scanning a holographic display. A soft chime echoed, indicating a signal unlike any they had received before. "Commander," said Lieutenant Mara Chen, her fingers dancing over the console. "We are receiving a long-range transmission. It's not human, and the message, it's asking for help." Aiden's brow furrowed. He had seen countless distress signals, some false, some real, but there was something about this one that felt different. It carried urgency, fear, and a strange nobility. He activated the audio feed, and the words of Queen Lysera filled the room. "We are under attack. Our people are dying. If anyone hears this, please come. Help us survive." The room fell silent. Even the usual hum of machinery seemed to pause, as though the ship itself listened. Mara whispered, "Commander, it's not just a plea. There's dignity in it, courage, even in fear." Aiden nodded slowly, feeling the weight of the moment. This was not a simple rescue call. It was a cry from a species fighting for survival, asking for partnership, for trust. "We respond," he said firmly. "Prepare the jump coordinates. We go to Xylaria." There were murmurs among the crew. Some were cautious, aware that responding to an unknown civilization could be dangerous. But Aiden's voice carried authority, and more than that, it carried conviction. Humanity had always thrived in the face of challenge, not by turning away but by stepping forward. Mara smiled faintly. Then let's make history. Within hours, the Terran Vanguard's fleet activated its faster-than-light engines, slipping through the fabric of space like needles through cloth. Every ship carried advanced weapons, shields, and soldiers trained for the most extreme conditions. But more than that, they carried human ingenuity, determination, and courage, qualities that could tip the balance even against impossible odds. Meanwhile, back on Xylaria, Queen Lysara continued to lead her army with tireless determination. She had no idea if her call had been heard. Each day felt like walking a tightrope over an abyss. Her soldiers were brave, yes, but the relentless attacks of Vorath's forces were wearing them down. "Your Majesty," said General Theros, approaching her in the war room. "We have secured the eastern perimeter for now, but the enemy is regrouping. Their fleet is adapting to our defenses." Lysara nodded, her violet eyes heavy with fatigue but resolute. "Keep them busy," she instructed. "We must hold until someone answers. We cannot give up." The Queen walked through the battlefield herself, observing her soldiers. Young warriors displayed remarkable courage. Older veterans used strategy and cunning to hold back superior numbers, and medics risked their lives to save the injured. Even as the horizon burned with fire and smoke, a sense of hope remained. It was faint, but it was there. Back on the Stalwart, the Vanguard fleet approached the coordinates given by the signal. The navigation systems confirmed that they were entering a densely populated planetary system, and sensors detected vast cities, glowing forests, and energy fields unlike any humans had encountered before. "This is incredible," said Lieutenant Chen, her voice filled with awe. "This planet, it's alive. The cities, the lights, it's more beautiful than anything we've seen." Aiden nodded. "And it's under attack. That is why we are here. Prepare the squads. We land on the surface in 2 hours." The fleet descended toward Xylaria carefully, avoiding the main conflict zones while scanning for threats. Vorath's warships were spread across the planet's skies, firing relentlessly at the Xylarians below. From orbit, the Terran Vanguard's technology allowed them to identify enemy weaknesses, plan strategic strikes, and prepare for a coordinated attack that could change the course of the battle. When the first human ships landed near the city of Luminara, Xylarians watched from their towers stunned. The humans did not arrive as conquerors, but as saviors, their ships landing with precise grace. Soldiers disembarked, armored but respectful, moving toward the battlefield with determination. Queen Lysara approached cautiously, accompanied by her most trusted generals. She had trained her people to be cautious with outsiders, and for good reason. But when she saw Commander Aiden Reyes step forward, unarmed at first, and speak in calm, confident tones, she sensed something remarkable. "We received your message," Reyes said. His voice was steady, carrying across the clearing. "We are here to help. Together we can drive back your attackers and save your world." Lysara studied him, her mind racing. Could she trust these beings? They were so different, yet there was something about them. A sense of honor, a willingness to stand beside her people when all hope seemed lost. "Then we will fight together," she replied finally. "But Vorath's forces are strong. He will not let anyone interfere without retaliation." Aiden nodded. "We know. That is why we fight smart and fight together. Tell your people to hold their positions. We will coordinate with you and strike strategically." And so a fragile alliance was born. Humans and Xylarians stood side by side, sharing knowledge and tactics. Xylarians taught humans about the terrain, energy flows, and natural defenses, while humans shared advanced technology, weapons, and strategies. For the first time in days, Lysara allowed herself a small measure of hope. Maybe, just maybe, help had arrived in time. The battle that followed was unlike anything the Xylarians had seen. Human ships targeted enemy supply lines, cutting off reinforcements. Ground teams used precision strikes to dismantle key enemy positions. Xylarians, empowered by the humans' presence, fought with renewed courage, their confidence growing as victories, small but meaningful, began to mount. Yet, Vorath was not idle. Observing the sudden change in the battlefield, he realized that the odds were shifting. His fleet adapted, attacking harder, targeting civilians and key leaders, hoping to break morale. But the human soldiers, led by Reyes, anticipated the moves, creating countermeasures, traps, and diversions that protected Xylarian cities and citizens. Queen Lysera watched from the city's central tower, her heart swelling with gratitude and admiration. These humans were extraordinary. They were not just fighters. They were thinkers, leaders, and allies in every sense of the word. As the sun set over the burning horizon, Lysera took a deep breath. The glow of Xylaria's forests, mingled with fires from the ongoing conflict, painted the sky in brilliant shades of red and gold. For the first time since the attack began, she allowed herself a moment to believe that her people could survive. That help had indeed arrived. She sent a silent message of thanks into the ether, not for the humans specifically, but for the courage, hope, and unity they represented. And somewhere on the battlefield, she felt, the universe itself seemed to acknowledge that the fight was not lost. Commander Aiden Reyes met her gaze from across the battlefield. No words were needed. The alliance was clear. Humans and Xylarians would fight as one. They would endure. And together, they would face the darkness that threatened to consume an entire world. The first step had been taken. The signal had been answered. The long night of fear and despair was giving way to a chance at survival, a spark of hope that could not be extinguished. And though the battle was far from over, both humans and Xylarians knew that as long as they stood together, no force in the galaxy could break their courage. The Terran vanguard had arrived, and the war for Xylaria's survival had just begun. The sky above Xylaria shimmered with fire and light. Vorath's warships hung in the clouds like dark predators, firing energy beams that scorched the forests below. The battle had raged for days, yet the sudden arrival of the Terran vanguard had changed everything. Their ships hovered in the atmosphere with quiet precision, like giants from a distant world, and their soldiers moved with unmatched skill and focus. Queen Lysera watched from a high tower in the capital city, Luminara, her heart pounding with both hope and fear. Her people had never seen beings like the humans, tall, armored, and fearless, yet their eyes shone with intelligence and determination. She could feel the difference immediately. The humans did not fight like conquerors. They fought to protect, to support, to save. Commander Aiden Reyes led the first squads into the battlefield, coordinating closely with Xylarians. His strategy was simple: protect civilians, weaken enemy formations, and target Vorath's command units. His soldiers moved with disciplined precision, forming lines that were nearly impossible to break. The Xylarians, inspired by the humans' courage, adapted their own skills to the new tactics, creating a perfect synergy between the two species. The initial clash was chaotic. Vorath's forces, surprised by the sudden human intervention, launched a massive counterattack. Energy beams cut through the sky, leaving streaks of light that lit up the clouds. Alien beasts summoned from Vorath's ships stomped through forests and cities trying to crush resistance. But humans and Xylarians stood firm side by side, their unity a force the enemy could not anticipate. Lysera moved through the battlefield, her energy blade glowing faintly. She directed her soldiers, provided encouragement, and even joined the front lines when a squad of Xylarians was trapped by enemy forces. Her presence inspired her people, but she also felt the weight of every life around her. She had begged for help, and now it had arrived. She could not let it fail. Commander Reyes noticed her movement from a nearby hill. "Queen Lysera," he called over the comm link that bridged both species. "Your people are brave, but we need to coordinate. Move your forces toward the eastern ridge. That will give us a better position to flank the enemy." Lysera nodded, trusting him. Humans had a different approach, precise and methodical, yet it complemented her people's natural instincts. Soldiers shifted positions, forming lines of defense and offense that danced around Vorath's troops, pushing them back slowly but steadily. The turning point came when a massive warship, larger than any Xylarian city, hovered above the capital. Vorath himself commanded it from within, his dark figure visible in the observation deck. "Crush them!" he roared through the comm link, a voice that trembled with rage and confidence alike. "Leave no survivors." Lysera's soldiers faltered, sensing the enormity of the threat. But Commander Reyes had anticipated this. Using advanced scanners, the humans pinpointed weak spots in the ship's hull. A squad of elite human soldiers, led by Reyes himself, prepared a daring strike. "Cover the civilians," Reyes instructed the Xylarians. "We will take the fight to the enemy. Follow our lead and stay safe." The humans charged forward, their energy rifles blazing. They moved with speed and precision, dodging energy blasts and debris. Xylarians provided cover from elevated positions, launching controlled energy strikes that disoriented Vorath's soldiers. The synergy was remarkable. For the first time, Lysera realized that her people were stronger together with humans than they had ever been alone. Inside the flagship, Vorath growled in frustration. His attacks were failing, his troops scattered, and his strategy disrupted. He did not expect this level of cooperation from an unknown species. Rage and fear battled within him, clouding his judgment. On the battlefield, Reyes and his squad reached the base of the warship, deploying small, hovering drones that attached to the hull. With synchronized precision, explosives detonated, creating breaches that allowed them to enter the ship. Lysera observed from above, her pulse quickening. This was dangerous, but it was exactly the action needed to turn the tide. Inside the warship, intense fighting erupted. Human soldiers moved with calculated skill, taking out enemy guards and disabling key systems. Xylarians used their energy abilities to manipulate the environment, creating barriers and illusions to confuse Vorath's soldiers. The dark corridors of the ship echoed with the sounds of battle. But every step the humans and Xylarians took brought them closer to victory. Outside, Lysera led a counterattack on the ground, targeting Vorath's remaining troops. Her people moved with renewed energy, inspired by the humans' bravery. Xylarian soldiers who had been struggling began to fight with unmatched courage, coordinating attacks, setting traps, and protecting the wounded. As the sun rose over Xylaria, the combined forces of humans and Xylarians forced Vorath's army to retreat. Small groups fled while others were captured or neutralized. The battlefield, once chaotic and hopeless, began to stabilize. Civilians emerged from hiding, witnessing a spectacle of unity and bravery that would be remembered for generations. Lysera finally allowed herself to breathe. Commander Reyes approached her, his armor scorched but his stance strong. "Your people are incredible," he said. "But you have courage too. It is this combination that wins battles. Alone we could have done little. Together, we can do anything." Lysera smiled faintly, her violet eyes reflecting both exhaustion and relief. "I feared no one would come," she admitted. "I did not know if we would survive, but you proved that even in the darkest moments help can arrive." Reyes nodded. "The universe is full of challenges, but humanity believes that courage, determination, and teamwork can overcome almost anything. Today we proved that together, species can achieve the impossible." The victory was not total. Vorath had escaped, retreating to distant sectors with his surviving forces. Lysera knew he would return, stronger and more determined. But for now, her people had survived, and they had discovered a new truth. They were not alone in the galaxy. Allies existed, beings who could stand beside them in their darkest hour. That evening, Lysera addressed her people from the palace balcony. Her voice was calm but resolute, carrying across the city. "Today we faced impossible odds. Today we saw courage and unity in action. Humans have come to aid us not as conquerors but as friends. Let this be a reminder. Even in desperation, hope can arrive, and together we are stronger than any enemy." The Xylarians cheered, their spirits lifted. Soldiers embraced one another. Civilians celebrated, and the wounded were cared for with renewed energy. The Terran Vanguard's presence had not just saved lives. It had ignited a spark of hope that would burn bright for years to come. As night fell, the skies of Xylaria were peaceful for the first time in days. Fires from the battle still burned in some areas, but the horizon no longer carried the shadow of enemy domination. Humans and Xylarians worked side by side to repair damages, tend to the wounded, and fortify defenses in anticipation of future attacks. Queen Lysera stood beside Commander Reyes, gazing at the stars. "The universe is vast," she said softly. "I did not know if anyone would hear our plea, but now I see that courage, determination, and unity can reach even the farthest corners. We are not alone." Reyes placed a hand on her shoulder, a simple gesture of solidarity. "You never were alone, and we will stand by your people. Whatever comes next, we face it together." The Queen nodded, her heart filled with gratitude and determination. The arrival of humans had not only saved her world, but it also opened a path to a future where Xylarians and humans could explore, learn, and protect together. The alliance formed in battle would grow into something stronger, an unbreakable bond forged through courage, trust, and the willingness to fight for what is right. As the stars shone above Xylaria, Lysara and her people looked forward with renewed hope. Vorath was out there, still a threat. But the combined strength of two civilizations had proven that no force, no matter how dark or powerful, could crush those who fought with courage and unity. The battle had changed everything. The Queen understood that the universe was unpredictable, full of challenges and dangers, but also full of possibilities. And now, with humans by her side, she was ready to face whatever the future held. Xylaria had survived, and the story of its survival would be told as a testament to the power of hope, bravery, and the strength found when species come together for a common cause. The fires of battle had faded from Xylaria's cities, but the tension remained thick in the air. Queen Lysara and Commander Aiden Reyes stood on a cliff overlooking the capital, Luminara, surveying the aftermath. Vorath had retreated, but his shadow still loomed over the planet. His fleet was regrouping somewhere in deep space, preparing for a return that could be even more devastating. "We cannot let him recover," Reyes said, his voice firm. "We need a plan that will not only defend your people but force Vorath to retreat for good." Lysara nodded. Her violet eyes scanned the landscape. The forests, rivers, and mountains of Xylaria were beautiful, but they were also part of the planet's natural defenses. Her soldiers knew the terrain like no one else. She realized that combining Xylarian knowledge of their world with human strategy and technology could create a decisive advantage. "Then we strike carefully," she replied. "We lure him into a place where his numbers will not matter, where he cannot use his fleet effectively. My army will guide the way, and your forces will give us the edge we need." The plan was daring. Vorath was powerful, cunning, and merciless. To confront him directly would be suicide, but to draw him into a narrow asteroid belt, where his fleet could be trapped and picked apart, could turn the tide. Humans and Xylarians worked together, combining mapping systems, energy sensors, and battlefield simulations. Every detail mattered. Every step had to be precise. The soldiers trained relentlessly. Xylarians taught humans how to read the energy flows of their world, how to use natural landscapes for camouflage, and how to predict enemy movements based on subtle environmental cues. Humans, in turn, shared advanced tactics, weaponry, and coordinated squad maneuvers that increased efficiency and survivability. Days passed in preparation. Lysara walked among her people, offering encouragement. She spoke to young warriors who had been afraid at the beginning of the war. "Courage is not the absence of fear," she told them. "It is standing up despite it. Today we fight not just to survive, but to prove that Xylaria can never be conquered." The humans joined in, addressing mixed squads of Xylarians and humans. Commander Reyes spoke with authority, inspiring confidence. "We have trained for this moment. We have the knowledge, the strength, and the courage. If we stand together, nothing can defeat us. Trust yourselves, trust each other, and trust the universe that brought us here." Finally, the day arrived. Scouts reported Vorath's fleet approaching, larger and more organized than before. The enemy was prepared for another full-scale assault. But the humans and Xylarians had a plan that relied not on brute force alone, but on strategy, timing, and unity. Lysara led the ground forces while Commander Reyes oversaw the human ships from orbit. Together they coordinated a multi-layered assault. Humans would strike from the skies, targeting critical points on enemy ships. Xylarians would use their energy manipulation abilities to disorient enemy formations and create illusions. The planet's natural terrain, with dense forests and rivers, would channel the enemy into traps carefully designed for maximum effect. As Vorath's fleet entered Xylaria's orbit, the battle began. Beams of light and fire streaked across the sky. Explosions lit the horizon as the first wave of Xylarian and human forces engaged the enemy. The human ships moved with precision, disabling key enemy vessels and opening pathways for ground forces. Xylarians on the planet created energy shields to protect civilians and troops, while simultaneously confusing the enemy with rapid, coordinated illusions. Vorath was enraged. His carefully planned attacks were being disrupted. His soldiers were faltering against the unexpected combination of human technology and Xylarian ingenuity. He realized that he had underestimated the humans and their alliance with Lysara's people. In the midst of the chaos, Lysara and Reyes led a strike team to the heart of the battlefield, where Vorath had positioned his command vessel. They moved swiftly, dodging energy blasts and navigating debris from destroyed ships. Lysara's energy blade cut through obstacles with elegant precision. while Reyes's squad cleared paths and neutralized enemy soldiers. The key to the plan was drawing Vorath's fleet into the asteroid belt. Sensors indicated that the enemy was beginning to follow the bait. Lysara's army moved strategically, leaving small openings for enemy ships to pursue, while hidden squads prepared traps and defensive positions along the narrow passages. Finally, Vorath's fleet entered the asteroid belt. The space was tight, jagged asteroids shifting constantly, creating natural hazards. Xylarians activated energy nets and traps that disrupted navigation, while humans fired precision strikes to disable engines and communications. Ships collided with asteroids, enemy formations broke apart, and panic spread through Vorath's ranks. Lysara watched from a command post, her heart racing. The plan was working, but danger remained. Vorath himself was still commanding the largest ship, his presence intimidating. A misstep could allow him to escape or counterattack. "Steady," Reyes said calmly over the comm link. "We stick to the plan. Focus on coordination, not speed. Every move matters." The combined forces advanced. Xylarians used their energy manipulation to create illusions of false attacks, drawing enemy ships into traps. Humans fired missiles with pinpoint accuracy, striking key points on the enemy flagship. Explosions rocked the fleet, sending debris flying into the asteroid field. Vorath's soldiers struggled to maintain control, their morale breaking under the relentless, unexpected strategy. Lysara's soldiers pressed the advantage on the ground. They targeted remaining enemy squads trying to regroup and protect the fleet. Their bravery was unmatched, inspired by the presence of humans fighting alongside them. Young warriors who had once hesitated now charged forward with unwavering courage, understanding that the battle was bigger than any one of them. It was for the survival of their world. Vorath's flagship attempted to retreat, but human and Xylarian forces blocked the path. Commanders coordinated to surround the ship, cutting off all escape routes. Lysara signaled her forces to prepare for the final strike. The moment required precision and unity. One wrong move could lead to disaster. "Now," she commanded, her voice steady. "Attack together. Strike as one." Explosions erupted around the flagship as coordinated strikes hit simultaneously. Xylarians unleashed controlled energy bursts, destabilizing the ship's shields. Humans fired precision weapons that tore through the hull. Vorath roared in frustration as his ship began to falter, systems failing one by one. Finally, the flagship shook violently and drifted powerless in space. Vorath's soldiers surrendered or fled, and the remaining fleet scattered. The trap had worked perfectly. The combined forces of humans and Xylarians had outsmarted and outmaneuvered the seemingly invincible enemy. Lysara exhaled, her heart pounding with relief. She had never felt such a surge of hope in the darkest days of the attack. Her people were safe, the enemy defeated for now. She turned to Commander Reyes, her eyes shining with gratitude. "You were right," she said softly. "Together we are stronger than any force in the galaxy. Your people's courage and strategy saved us all." Reyes shook his head humbly. "No, Queen Lysara. Your people's bravery made this possible. We only helped. You inspired us to fight beside you, not just for your planet, but for the hope that courage and unity can overcome any challenge." Across Xylaria, soldiers and civilians alike celebrated. Fires from battle still glowed faintly in the distance, but the city of Luminara and surrounding areas were safe. Human and Xylarian forces worked together to repair damages, tend to the wounded, and fortify defenses in anticipation of future threats. As night fell, Lysara stood on the cliff once more, looking at the horizon. The stars shone brighter than ever, a reminder of the vastness of the universe and the possibilities it held. Humans had arrived when hope seemed lost, proving that courage, ingenuity, and determination could bridge the distance between worlds. Vorath was gone for now, but Lysara knew the galaxy was full of dangers. Yet she also understood a new truth. When species stood together, when courage and unity combined, no force could conquer them. Commander Reyes joined her, placing a hand on her shoulder. "We will stay," he said. "We will help you rebuild and prepare for whatever comes next. Together we can face anything." Lysara nodded, her heart filled with gratitude. The war had changed everything, not just the fate of Xylaria, but the future of her people. They had discovered allies, strength in unity, and the power of courage in the darkest times. The night was quiet, the glow of distant fires fading. But in every heart, both human and Xylarian, there burned a spark of hope courage and determination that would guide them through the challenges yet to come. Sileria had survived the impossible. And now the universe would know that when courage and unity meet, even the strongest darkness cannot prevail. The morning sun rose over Sileria, bathing the glowing forests and crystal rivers in soft light. After days of relentless conflict, the planet was quiet, almost deceptively so. Queen Lysara stood atop the central tower in Luminara, her violet eyes scanning the horizon. The calm was temporary. Vorath's threat still lingered somewhere in deep space. His fleet had been broken, but his cunning was not gone. Beside her, Commander Aiden Reyes monitored the sensors from the command post. "Scans show Vorath's surviving ships are retreating toward the outer system," he said. "He may attempt another attack, but we now have the advantage. We can predict his moves and stop him if he returns." Lysara nodded. Her army had learned, adapted, and grown stronger with the humans' assistance. Today would be the day they took the final steps to ensure the safety of Sileria, once and for all. The plan was meticulous. Vorath's flagship, though damaged, remained operational and contained his command core. To defeat him permanently, they needed to target it directly, preventing him from regaining power and rallying his forces. Lysara's energy manipulators would disable the ship's energy shields, while human precision squads would strike at critical points. Together, they would corner Vorath and end the threat. Silerian soldiers lined the cliffs and forests, their energy blades glowing with anticipation. Humans deployed their advanced weaponry and hovercraft, moving strategically to provide maximum support. The alliance had grown stronger than either species alone. They had learned to anticipate each other's moves, communicate without hesitation, and fight with a shared sense of purpose. As Vorath's flagship appeared on the horizon, a dark silhouette against the morning light, Lysara felt a mixture of determination and caution. "Remember," she called to her army, "we fight for our people, our home, and for the future. Stay united, stay vigilant, and strike as one." The first wave of attacks began. Human ships fired precise energy beams, disabling enemy defenses while Xylarians manipulated the battlefield, creating illusions and energy barriers that confused Vorath's remaining soldiers. The planet itself became an ally, with rivers, forests, and mountains used to channel enemy forces into traps. Vorath roared in fury. He had expected a final showdown, but he did not anticipate the level of coordination between humans and Xylarians. His attacks, once unstoppable, were now countered at every turn. His fleet scattered, and his flagship struggled against a relentless, calculated assault. Lysara led a strike team toward the flagship. Her energy blade shimmered as she moved, precise and deadly, cutting through enemy drones and guards. Beside her, human soldiers from Commander Reyes's team worked in perfect synchronization, clearing pathways and disabling critical systems. Each step forward was a calculated risk, but their coordination minimized casualties and maximized impact. Inside the flagship, Vorath's rage grew. "You dare to challenge me?" he shouted to his crew, but panic had already spread among his soldiers. The coordinated attacks from Xylaria's defenders and human forces had shattered morale. His systems were failing and the ship's core was exposed. At the crucial moment, Lysara and Reyes reached the command bridge. The Queen's energy abilities disabled the main shields, leaving Vorath vulnerable. Human soldiers moved in with advanced weapons, targeting the core and control systems. The battle was intense but swift. Vorath's attempts to counter were feeble against the combined might and strategy of the two allied forces. With a final surge, the core was destroyed. The flagship shuddered violently and drifted helplessly into space. Vorath, realizing defeat, attempted to flee in an escape pod, but Xylarians had anticipated this. Energy nets and human targeting systems intercepted him, ensuring he could escape no further. Queen Lysara faced the defeated warlord. His armor was damaged, his fleet destroyed, and his spirit broken. "Your reign of terror ends here," she declared, her voice calm but commanding. Vorath had underestimated courage, unity, and the strength of a species that would not surrender. Reyes stepped forward. "You see now," he said firmly, "that strength alone is not enough. Bravery, intelligence, and cooperation can overcome even the most powerful adversary. Today you have lost because we stood together." Vorath's defiance faded. For the first time, he understood that raw power could not defeat those who fought with purpose, unity, and hope. He was taken into custody, removed from Xylaria's skies, ensuring he would never threaten the planet again. With the final battle won, Lysara addressed her people and the human allies. Her voice carried across the city, reaching soldiers, civilians, and visitors alike. Today, we have not only defended our world, but discovered something more precious than victory. We have discovered friendship, courage, and the strength that comes when species stand together. Humans came to our aid when hope seemed lost, and together, we have shown the universe that no darkness is greater than the light of courage. The Xylarians erupted in celebration. Soldiers cheered, civilians hugged each other, and even the young warriors who had once trembled before the war now held their heads high, proud of what they had achieved. Humans and Xylarians shared smiles, laughter, and relief. They had survived the impossible, and the bond forged in battle would last far beyond this war. Commander Reyes approached Lysara privately. "Your people are extraordinary," he said. "Their courage, resilience, and intelligence are remarkable. It was an honor to fight alongside you." Lysara smiled. "And your people have shown that humanity is more than just strength. You have wisdom, bravery, and compassion. Together, we have created something neither of our species could have done alone." The Queen and Commander Reyes discussed the future. Xylaria would rebuild, fortified against potential threats. Humans would stay for a time, helping to repair infrastructure, train soldiers, and strengthen defenses. But more importantly, the two civilizations would establish a lasting alliance, sharing knowledge, technology, and support. In the following weeks, Xylaria transformed from a battlefield into a hub of collaboration. Humans and Xylarians worked side by side, restoring cities, planting new forests, and repairing energy networks. Children played freely among the rebuilt streets. Soldiers trained together, and a sense of peace, hard-won and precious, settled over the land. Queen Lysara held a ceremony to honor the human soldiers. She presented Commander Reyes with a symbol of Xylaria's gratitude, a crystal infused with energy from their planet, representing courage, unity, and hope. "This is a token of friendship," she said. "May it remind you that when the universe seems dark, courage and unity can light the way." Reyes accepted it with respect. "And may it remind all of us that even in the darkest times, reaching out for help and being willing to answer the call can change the fate of worlds." As the sun set on Xylaria, Lysara looked at the stars. She reflected on the desperate moment when she had sent her plea into the void, fearing no one would answer, and yet help had arrived. Brave humans had crossed the galaxy to stand beside her people, proving that courage and compassion were not limited by species or distance. The Xylarians had survived, stronger and wiser. The humans had proven that their ingenuity, courage, and determination could make a difference far beyond their own world. And together they had created a bond that would protect Xylaria for generations to come. Vorath's defeat was complete, but more importantly, a new era had begun. Humans and Xylarians would explore the stars together, sharing knowledge, protecting weaker civilizations, and standing united against threats that sought to spread fear and destruction. Queen Lysara spoke to her people one last time as the stars began to twinkle above. "Remember this day," she said. "Remember that hope can arrive when all seems lost, that courage can inspire even in the darkest hour, and that unity can overcome any enemy. Today we have proven that life, friendship, and bravery are stronger than any power in the universe." The people cheered. The humans smiled, proud to have played a role in saving a world and forging an unbreakable alliance. Xylaria's forests glowed softly in the night, rivers shimmered like silver, and the city sparkled with energy and life once more. In the distance, the Terran vanguard prepared to depart, but not before making a promise. "We will always answer your call," Commander Reyes said. "Wherever there is courage and a plea for help, humanity will be there." Queen Lysara nodded. "And Xylaria will stand ready to meet you." "Together we are stronger than the darkness. Together we will face whatever comes next." The ships lifted off, leaving a trail of light across Xylaria's skies. The Queen watched until they disappeared into the stars, knowing that their bond was permanent, a friendship born in battle, forged in courage, and sealed in trust. For the first time in what felt like an eternity, Lysara allowed herself to relax. Xylaria had survived. Its people were safe. The future was bright. And somewhere across the galaxy, humans and Xylarians would continue to write a story of courage, unity, and hope. a story that would shine as a beacon for all who faced impossible odds. The universe was vast, full of unknown dangers and yet full of possibilities. And Lysara knew one truth above all. When courage, determination, and unity meet, even the greatest darkness cannot prevail. Xylaria had been saved. An alliance had been forged, and a new chapter of the galaxy's story had begun.